What's up, guys? Jason Noble here, and it's been now 2 days without the World Cup, and I'm sure it's been as rough on you guys as it has been on me. I personally have been desperately missing it. It's hard to think that one could go 2 days without football. Alright, so since World Cup is starting back up tomorrow, I did think I would make a video about the games coming up. So as we know, it's the quarterfinals. We only have 8 teams left. So all these games are big games now, and I'm really looking forward to them. Tomorrow we have France versus Germany and Brazil versus Colombia. Then I believe it will be on Saturday, Argentina, Belgium, and Netherlands versus Costa Rica. So all 4 of these games are interesting to me, and I'm going to give a quick little breakdown of what I think of each of the 4 games. Now, remember, this is not what is going to happen 100%. This is just my opinion of what will happen and what I think will happen based on these teams' performances throughout the World Cup, the players on the teams, and performances prior to the World Cup. So we're going to go in order of how the games are going to be played. Starting off with France versus Germany. France versus Germany, in my opinion, is the toughest game to call in this round. I really could see this game going either way, and if there is one game that's going to go to penalty kicks, this is the game. Now, I will be cheering for Les Bleus, but my instinct tells me Germany might take this one. If I look at the 2 teams objectively, I have to say the Germans overall look to be the better side, both traditionally and prior to the World Cup. I would pick the Germans over the French. The French have put very impressive performances so far in the World Cup, but I do have to take that with a grain of salt. I do not think they have faced some of the tougher opposition in the tournament so far, with their toughest games being Ecuador, Switzerland, and Nigeria, which none of those teams, in my opinion, are top teams. And Germany, on the other hand, came out of the group of death, having to play against the United States, Portugal, and Ghana, which I would say on the whole are all stronger teams. That being said, Germany struggled greatly against Algeria, which I would say is actually maybe the weakest team they've played so far. Now, all due respect to Algeria, it probably is close. Ghana, the USA, and Algeria could be considered in the same ballpark in some regards. All right, but if I have to pick a winner, I'm picking Germany. This is a close one, and this one could go either way. On to the next game. Brazil, Colombia. This, in my opinion, might be the game of the round. And some of it stems from the fact that it's 2 of the most talented teams as far as attacking players with skills and flair. The other reason is Colombia's coach, Jose Pekerman, stated outright before the game that he hopes this is a game with lots of goals so everyone can enjoy it, I love Jose Pekerman. I think Jose Pekerman is an example of how more football coaches should behave, and he always seems to produce teams that play exciting and entertaining football, and he's done it once again with this Colombia team. Okay, so to break down the game, I'm picking Brazil, and as much as I love Colombia, I feel really bad for Colombia that they have to face Brazil, because I cannot see, I find it highly unlikely for Colombia to beat Brazil. And the main reason comes down to, when you look at the overall talent on both of the teams, Brazil is more talented. Now, looking at their previous games in the World Cup, Colombia boasts a perfect record, but they have played slightly inferior opposition, in my opinion. Brazil They had a few bumps on the road, but they've also played fairly solid composition. Croatia, Mexico, and Chile are no pushovers by any means. Chile's another team I feel sorry that had to meet Brazil, because I felt that Chile could be a team that could have made the quarters, maybe even semis, if they wouldn't have drawn a team like Brazil at the first knockout rounds. And going into a bit historically, now this is where some people might get pissed off at me, but this is the case in most cases. South American teams, especially when they are playing in Brazil, tend to not perform and beat Brazil. Even when it looks like on paper they could do it, it tends to be a case of Brazil reminding them who's daddy. Now, that's a very simplified way to put it, but I've seen it happen so many times in qualifying, Copa America, and other competitions of the sort. Brazil just, when it comes down to it, especially against South American competition, they manage to pull it off, even if they're not playing at their best. A lot of people have been critical about Brazil's performance. I don't think they've played quite to their potential, but I think a lot of people are also being overly critical about a team that has thoroughly outplayed pretty much every team they've played. They've just happened to meet a few teams that were game for competition and managed to keep it close and played well themselves. So Brazil wins this one for me. Next game, Argentina versus Belgium. Now, just going to tell you straight up, I think this is going to be Argentina. I personally think Argentina is just a far superior overall team than Belgium. Belgium boasts a great record in UEFA qualifying, and they've been very solid in their World Cup performances as well. But something that a lot of people fail to realize about UEFA qualifying, much of UEFA qualifying is, what group are you in? Now, when you look at the Belgian group, I don't have it in front of me, but it had many smaller teams that were not very good. And the only other team that was of any note in their group also qualified for the World Cup, and frankly, they didn't do so hot. That was Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was in Argentina's group. Admittedly, they gave Argentina a fairly good game, but they were not that great performing in this World Cup. I feel also Belgium's group with Russia, South Korea, and Algeria, I feel was not the stiffest competition in the world, and Belgium failed to show any true dominance in those games. Also, it took extra time for them to beat the United States, and even though they were clearly the better side, it was not 100% convincing at times, and they even gave the United States some very good chances to actually equalize in the end of extra time. Argentina, they haven't looked the best during this World Cup, despite having arguably the best, most talented attacking roster maybe in the entire World Cup. But I'm going to give them a little slack on this, and I'm going to explain why some of their games have not been as high scoring or as convincing as possible. I'm going to use the last two games, I'm going to use the last game and the Iran game as the perfect examples. Both Iran and Switzerland employed very defensive strategies against Argentina. It is extremely difficult to break down teams that are willing to put 9, 10, or even 11 men behind the ball to defend. This can be difficult for any team to break down, and it's caused Argentina to have these 1-0 victories going into extra time with the Switzerland game, but they've managed to pull it off in the end. When we're looking at this, Argentina also won the CONMEBOL qualifiers, partly because Brazil didn't participate, but they still finished first. They finished ahead of very good teams from South America like Colombia, Uruguay, Chile, and they have easily one of the most talented rosters in the tournament, including arguably the best player in the world in Lionel Messi. So, as these teams compare, I don't see Belgium as the team that's going to sit back and just defend against Argentina, even though that might actually be a doable option for them. I see this game, I'm probably going to say something like a 2-1 to Argentina, actually. I just can't see Argentina really losing this game. It's possible, but I'd say it'd be a definite outside chance for Belgium. All right, so on to the last game of the round. Netherlands versus Costa Rica. As much as I hate to say it, this is the most straightforward game of the round. I really would be kind of surprised if Costa Rica could get out of this game, could win this game. That being said, I was really surprised when Costa Rica beat both Italy and Uruguay. So, I'm not going to say it's for sure. I will say this. On paper, if you don't pick the Netherlands, you're crazy. They are a clearly superior team in this case, and it is highly unlikely the Cinderella story of Costa Rica will continue. But they've surprised us before, and they've done an amazing job to get to this round. I personally will be cheering for Los Ticos, and I hope I'm wrong on this issue. But I have to pick the Netherlands to go through on this. So, guys, that was my review of the quarterfinal stages, or my preview of the quarterfinal stages of the World Cup. Guys, tune in tomorrow for 2 great games, Saturday for 2 more. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'm out. Peace!